Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time of day it is, I pray that your mind, your heart, and your spirits are all poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Hashem. Eshu has been mischaracterized many times as a trickster. He's been mischaracterized as a malevolent force, and even to the point of being mistaken for the biblical character Satan. And this is largely because Eshu is, on one hand, the embodiment of paradox. Okay, he's the embodiment of paradox. What's a paradox? A paradox is when there are two things that are equally true at the same time, although they appear to be in diametric opposition to one another. They seem to be opposite to one another, but they end up being equally true and equally valid at the same time. So, of course, the most notorious story of Eshu that we know to that effect is Eshu and the two friends. The story is that Eshu has a hat that is half red, half black. Sometimes it's half white, half black. He passes between two friends. One friend says that the guy's wearing a white hat. The other friend says the guy's wearing a black hat. They fight. Eshu turns his hat around. Then they're, apologizing to one another, and they're saying, "Oh my goodness, you had it right. It was black. Oh no, you don't have to do that. It was white." And then they fight again because they're thinking they're trying to patronize one another. And it's Eshu is laughing the whole time. Okay, the hat was both black and white. It's a paradox. All right, and so because of that, it's easy, it's convenient for the lazy mind to conclude that Eshu is making mischief. Eshu is a trickster. Eshu is a malevolent force. No wise, responsible, good-natured being is going to create that kind of chaos and confusion just to teach a lesson or just for fun. And so people will mistake Eshu for a bad guy. But in reality, Eshu is the embodiment of paradox. And one of the reasons why Eshu embodies paradox is one of the things that we don't emphasize enough, and I want to bring to the forefront today. Before I do that, let me let you know, or remind you if you don't know, this is the Orisha Lifestyle Academy, and I'm your instructor. And today's lesson is about Eshu, the embodiment of paradox, or Eshu, the paradoxical principle, right? So when we look at why Eshu embodies paradox, let's look a little bit further beyond the fact that, he comes up with a white hat and a black hat. That's a sort of a crystallization of the idea. But in a bigger sense, what we get is a variety of verses of Ifa that tell us how Eshu is the most loyal friend of Oromila. Eshu is the most loyal. When Oromila wants to find out which of the deities really is about, the life of Ifa, which are the ones who are devoted to Oromila and loyal to him, and how many of them are just opportunists who want to get what they think Oromila has, Oromila faces death. And all the deities show up, and they all claim that Oromila was indebted to them somehow. He owed them this power, he owed them that power, he owed them money. It's only Eshu who came and said, "No way, no how. Oromila doesn't owe anybody anything. We all owe Oromila. We owe him for health. We owe him for money. We owe him for victory. We owe him for clarity. All the things that are good are because of what Oromila has contributed to our lives. Whatever needs to happen, I'm going to stay true to that, even though Oromila is dead." Right, so Eshu demonstrates complete and absolute loyalty, even when he thinks that Oromila is gone. Okay, but paradoxically, Eshu is also the same deity who will demand a sacrifice from Oromila, and when Oromila makes the sacrifice, and Ifa tells Oromila that he has to carry the sacrifice on his head into the neighboring kingdom, when Oromila enters into the kingdom, Eshu makes it rain. I'm pointing out here because it's raining today. Eshu makes it rain, and the mud is slippery, and Oromila, who's carrying his sacrifice on his head, he's wearing all white, like I am today. Oromila falls down, and he gets mud all down his backside, and he gets palm oil and blood and etc. all down his front, and everybody in the market laughs hysterically at Oromila. So where he's going to become honored as the chief priest, where he is going seeking, the opportunity to serve and extol the wisdom of Ifa, Oromila is instantly put to shame because of Eshu. Eshu is the one who demanded the sacrifice. Eshu is the one who made it rain. But then, paradoxically, Eshu also gives everyone in the kingdom the same nightmare. And they're all terrified, and they all come out of their house and they're saying, something has happened, we're in big trouble, we need support, we need a babalawo, but we don't have one. Eshu transforms himself into a townsperson and says, of course we have a babalawo. He's in the market right now. Go to him, he can solve your problem. But before you go, bring goats, bring chickens, bring roosters, bring rams, bring money, bring fabric, bring beads, right? And so everybody comes, Oromila divines for everybody in the whole kingdom and becomes wealthy. So Oromila lives the paradox, or lives the result of the paradox that Eshu embodies. Okay? And so again, somebody would look at that and these are like stories, and there's many stories that we could tell that, demonstrate Eshu's paradoxical character. People would look at that and say, Eshu is a bad guy, right? But the question that I want to pose to you today is, why does Eshu embody paradox? What's the purpose of his paradoxical nature? How does it function in the development of a human being, a complete human being? How does it function in the maintenance of balance in the cosmos and in the world that we live in? Well, for us as people, one of the most important lessons or virtues that we can cultivate as a result of interacting with Eshu is compassion. It's compassion, right? Because what? In front of Eshu, everybody is going to get humbled. In front of Eshu, everyone is going to meet some form of humiliation. In front of Eshu, everybody is going to get tested in ways that they could never even imagine possible. Eshu is going to push you beyond the limits of your understanding and your perception. He's going to obliterate your comfort zone and shatter all of your perceptions, which means destroying your reality and forcing you to reorganize your thinking and reconceptualize the possibilities according to a whole nother set of variables. And at the very least, you got to say, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't really know what's going on. I can't honestly say that just because this is what I see and this is what I think and this is how I feel about the situation. Honestly, I have to say I don't really know conclusively. Let me remain patient. Let me remain compassionate to your situation. Let me keep my heart and my mind open to the possibility that something is going on that I don't know, because I have lived Eshu's paradox. Okay? So Eshu evokes the virtue of compassion. If you are a wise person and you're open to that kind of growth, if you're keeping your mind and your heart open, a little bit soft, right? And this is crucial because it came to mind, it started to emerge in my thinking as we were doing Ose over the weekend, and in the casting of the Obi gave that message, right? Now this is actually a message that was an internal message, but I'm sharing it because it's part of the lesson that is important for today, which is you got to lead with a gentle approach. You got to lean into your discomfort. You got to do something that is a little bit outside of your comfort zone and outside of your strengths, right? So if you're right hand dominant, is metaphorically, if you're right hand dominant, you would be doing things with your left hand. You'll be doing things in a way that don't necessarily play to your great strengths. Be gentle, be soft, take your time, be compassionate, be understanding, be open, be receptive, right? That's how you go into the situation, not necessarily forceful and assertive and aggressive. Go gently, right? Eshu helps us to realize that capacity within ourselves, to be compassionate, to be gentle, right? Because he is always putting Orunmila and all the deities to the test and proving that they don't have everything that they thought they have. They don't know everything that they thought they know. They can't do all of the things that they thought they could do. So remain humble, be compassionate, okay? So when we look at Eshu, we have to understand paradox and compassion, or paradox for the purpose of being increasingly compassionate. Those are the things that will elevate you as a devotee, particularly if you are an Ifa devotee, okay? Because Eshu features in all of our work, okay? There's no Ifa without Eshu. Orunmila doesn't do anything without Eshu support. And so that builds into the program, builds into the system, paradox and the need for increased compassion. Now, just as a aside, so that you can understand in the Yoruba context, in the Yoruba thought pattern and worldview, there is a trickster. Okay, this is another way we know the difference between Eshu, the paradox, and the trickster. The trickster is Ajapa, or more commonly known, Ijapa. Ajapa is the tortoise. He's the trickster. He's the one who has all the information and all the knowledge and all the talent and all the skill, but he's using it just to create confusion, just to create mayhem, just to get over. He's doing it for self-serving purposes. That's the difference. Eshu is cultivating compassion. Eshu is helping you come to a higher understanding of the virtues of life. He's expanding your horizons and bringing you into a deeper sense of alignment with what it means to be you, to deal with the limitations of fate. Ajapa, on the other hand, is just demonstrating to you what happens when you are completely self-centered, self-driven. When the only thing you're thinking about and the only way you're applying your natural gifts and talents is to serve yourself. That is what we would call egomania. That's Ajapa. He is a trickster, right? Egomania in the sense that the ego will do anything to perpetuate itself. The ego will lie to you and deceive you and trick you into all kinds of unbelievable things, right? It's not paradoxical. It's just impossible, right? That's the ego. You project this image of yourself of how you want to be in spite of the fact that it is impossible. And the ego will deceive you and trick you, right, into believing that it is what you want it to be, because you are unwilling to go beyond your comfort zone. You're unwilling to go beyond your perceptions. You're unwilling to learn and grow. You're unwilling to be humble and compassionate, right? So Ajapa, the tortoise, is the trickster. He is entirely different from Eshu, who is the embodiment of paradox for the purpose of cultivating compassion. And so on this day, I hope and pray that you will explore the beauty and the wisdom of Eshu's presence in our life, and that you will remember some of the praises of Eshu that tell us about his compassion, and how when he went to the kingdom of Ife and he found that they were in strife, Eshu reminded them that strife is contrary to the will of heaven. And so Eshu resolved their problem in Ife, and he resolved it so completely and so thoroughly that the people of Ife adopted him as one of their own. They made him as though he was an indigent of Ife itself. So it is with Eshu. When you cry tears, Eshu sheds tears of blood. That's the depth of his own compassion. It's always a demonstration of his willingness to be loyal to your cause, to your growth, to your transformation. So I pray that Eshu will continue to guide you and develop you and keep you on the way of complete and absolute transformation, so that you can make a more meaningful contribution to your life and to the lives of those who you are destined to serve. Aboru aboye, aboshishe.